welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. We are learning about the 4 pillars of a healthy home, and those 4 pillars are real estate, your ecosystem, your body, and your mind. All 4 pillars need to be secure, or what happens, Sheila?
The roof falls in.
The roof comes tumbling down. Say that out loud.
The roof comes tumbling down.
Thank you
I
so
like to
much.
say my version.
I know you do. I'm excited about this week's
and
show.
you correct me every time.
I know. I'm excited about this week's show, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, I'm more excited.
We have Liz Heffernan. Liz Heffernan on the show, and Liz is a master yoga instructor, or what would you call yourself?
I am a certified ERYT, which is a registered yoga teacher.
Okay.
500.
What does that mean?
That means that if I go, if you come to a class that I'm teaching, you can know that I am well trained.
Okay, so what's what is it?
A registered
ERYT?
yoga teacher.
Okay.
And E means I have, at this juncture right now, over 2,000 hours of teaching and training.
I'll tell you why.
2,000 hours. So how much time, how many years or time is that?
So this June, it will be 12 years that I graduated from teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
And so since then, every hour that I have taught a class or gone to a training adds up. And there's an alliance, the Yoga Alliance, which is our hub for yoga teachers and anything health and wellness, healing, where they are the gatekeepers. And this is something, so it's not like the Food and Drug Administration. It's not a law.
Right.
But it's something that will tell people who I'm working with, saying that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's because I've been through this process. I've gone through a training that has been certified by the Yoga Alliance committee, and I have followed all the education, and I continue to do continuing education. So that's what that means. And every hour adds up. And as a person, you yourself have the responsibility to go in and make sure that your information is updated, so that people looking for a yoga teacher in Minnesota can look up anybody and see who I am, where I teach, what my training has been, how many hours. So it might not mean a lot to just anyone walking off the street, my numbers after my name, but to any other person in the yoga community, they would understand.
For those who are really into it.
Right. It's like having not to the level of an MD, but that tells you something.
Oh, yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
before we get started, though, I want to hear Liz's background. I want to know how she got to this. I know a little itty-bitty piece, but yeah.
Well, so Sheila and I met when I was teaching what is known as bar yoga.
My favorite.
And it's
that's why she came home drunk every night.
Yeah.
Right.
We
met at the bar.
My legs did. I was running.
Oh, that was why. I knew she was wobbly. I thought it was because of the...
And so I was a ballet dancer for 20 years. And then life happened, and I had to stop that. But I needed, as you all know, this like the healthy body, right? Like the healthy home. You have to pay attention to it.
Right.
And so what I discovered was yoga. And yoga is movement. It's not to music like dancing is, but not all dance is to music either.
Sure.
But it is movement that is good for your body, gentle on your body. It can be rigorous. It can be intense. It can be really challenging. And it can be also very gentle. But either way, it's movement. So I broke my knee.
Is that why you had to quit?
I had to quit. That was the major reason, because I broke my knee.
How'd you break your knee?
Skiing.
Oh, yeah. See,
Yeah,
that's not a good sport. I don't care how you look at it.
Yeah, well, it is a good sport if you fall correctly and don't,
Nope.
Or don't fall.
or don't fall.
Or don't fall.
But like life happens.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Were you in a professional realm of dance?
Oh, no.
No.
Well, that's kind of quasi-professional. I mean, it was here in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
I mean, I started in Texas, where I grew up.
Okay.
I was born and raised. Moved to the Twin Cities for education and went to the U of M. and then found a ballet school who was run by Anna and Laurent Andahazi, who were the two original people who brought ballet to the Twin Cities.
Really?
Russian ballet technique, which is called the Vaganova method, and they started their ballet school in St. Louis Park, and had one in Edina, and then had one in St. Paul, right off of Grand Avenue. And I happened to meet someone who knew about it, and so I went there and I started to study under Mr. Andahazi and his wife, and then they had a company. It was called the Andahazi School. It was the School of Ballet and then the company, and so we performed many places. I think the most notable performances that I ever did were the ones that we did during the Lenten season, which was a ballet on the Passion. And every Lent we went to churches and we danced in the sanctuary. It was amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. So we did dance. I did get paid, but I wasn't in New York or San Francisco.
Yeah, right. So then you broke your knee.
Yep.
I mean, isn't yoga a little hard on the knees sometimes? Or?
Well, so the knee healed.
Okay.
I had a baby.
Oh, that happens.
And I got a promotion at work. Oh. So all those things together, I had to just pause and reassess. And I didn't do anything for quite a few years.
Okay.
And that's when I realized I really needed to stop, reassess. My youngest daughter was going into school, so I had time. And so that's when I went into yoga. And it started with a class that was called Yoga Dance.
Of course it was.
So that theme just, kind of tumbles into everything.
Right, exactly.
So yes, but it's yoga isn't a performance. It's not like you're going to do everything that you learn in a yoga class on stage. It's not a competition. It's a connection of your mind and your breath and your body. So, just breathing is yoga. It's that union of the mind and the breath. It's very gentle.
So I'm a yoga master then. Okay.
There you go.
So I got a question for you. The elephant in the room. I'm a Christian, evangelical Christian. I have Christian friends that say yoga is evil, it's Eastern, voodoo, and it's anti-Christian, and they're afraid of it. So can you address that and just dispel that myth?
I don't know if I can dispel it. I can certainly have some talking points to it. I think what you just said is fear.
Yes.
So anything that's fear-based is very hard to penetrate. Yoga is a practice. It's not a religion. It's
a technique.
It's a way of living.
Okay.
It's a philosophy. It's the way you live your life, just like you two. You believe in healthy homes. You believe in honoring your body. And how do you do that? In many different ways. This is what yoga is about.
Some people choose to run, maybe, or
exactly,
or
whatever your choice is, right? You can go walking. You can go sitting in the park and meditate. You can go to church every day and pray. If you put yoga and any other kind of religious faiths or faiths together, there's a lot of commonality. So it's a way of life.
Okay, so when we come back from break, we have a minute left. I want to talk about a few things. First of all, I want to talk about movement and what the reasoning is behind the different movements and the why of it from a body standpoint and a body-mind connection, what that does, and why wouldn't there just be push-ups, sit-ups, and deep knee bends. And then I want to talk about a couple of I want to talk about like mindfulness and restorative yoga. What does that mean? Yoga for survivors. We have lots of ways that we're going to go over the course of the next 3 subjects. So when we come back, we'll talk about movement right after these messages. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. That's the website to go to. Find out what's cooking in the hub, in the hood on ourhealthyhomes.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. 651-775-9194. That's the number to call. Talk to the lovely and talented Sheila. She'll get you hooked up. She'll get you pointed in the right direction so you can live your best life in your healthy home. All right. So we're in the studio.
Can I just say something?
No. You absolutely cannot say
living. Wouldn't you agree that really all the changes, that we've made over probably the last 8 years has really been the best changes for us physically, emotionally, from the whole healthy home aspect with all of those 4 elements.
Well, now that you put me under the gun like this on radio, I'm going to say yes, because I didn't just get off the train. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I wasn't just born yesterday.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, dear.
But I mean, we talk about those all the time, but we don't share that it's benefited us, that what we're teaching, what we're speaking has benefited us tremendously.
We walk our talk.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is that it?
Yep, that's
okay.
For now.
Okay. All right, so here it is. I want to talk about movement and all the different moves, the different yoga postures and moves and things like that. Talk about through what are they? Where did they come from? Why are they important? Which ones are the most popular?
Oh boy.
Right? So start with where they came from.
So yoga is an ancient practice. It was developed back in India over 3,000 years ago.
Okay.
It is something that started with the mind and body awareness that developed into including the body, where you have examples of people who really just left their world and everything they knew to go sit under a tree and not move for years. And that's because of the state of the mind and how powerful our mind can be. Throughout the years, the link of awareness, if you look all across all sorts of topics, that mind and body awareness is there. You find it in Chinese medicine. You find it in faith, in religion. You find it in any story that you've heard about perseverance and overcoming. It was about mind over matter, and that's basically what yoga is. Although yoga means yoke, it's a union, a binding of the mind and the breath. So it is
breath.
The breath.
Okay.
And then you add the movement. Basically, you prepare your mind with a little centering, like if you go to a yoga class. So you're talking about maybe rituals and routines. In many classes, there's many ways to do yoga, just like there's many ways to be a ballet dancer or to be a realtor. You have your styles, you have, but there's might be certain parameters that you always address. And it's the same in a yoga class. Yoga became very popular back in the 50s and 60s when celebrities went traveling, went to India and found all of these wonderful yogi masters.
Did their retreats and their time away to get out of the everyday stress.
Exactly. They were trying to maybe find themselves. I don't know. I'm not them.
Right.
But they believed so much. The most popular person that I can think of that did that was George Harrison of the Beatles and the Beatles themselves. And so when a celebrity starts to do something, it's there's the social media.
Shines a spotlight on it.
Exactly. So they wanted to bring that to themselves, and then it migrated to the United States. So the original way of yoga is way different than the way we practice here in the Western world. And when I say that, I mean there are some things that we still stay true to, but now here today, it's become much more of a exercise.
Exercise program.
Right.
Exercise. Not always. And I think that's where people, and also the piece about mindfulness, the piece about awareness, the culture. There is a way of life. There's Ayurveda. That is a science on your constitution. A lot of the essential oils, a lot of the foods you eat based on who you are and what your constitution is. There's the doshas. There's a whole boatload of things that people learn about that you can delve deeper and deeper and deeper. So there is a way, the way I've been trained is very classic, just like classical ballet. There's a bar that you warm up,
Right.
and then you do center work, and then you go into the big giant leaps. And it's kind of the same with yoga. You start with a little centering and mindfulness, and this is just to put yourself where you are. How do you feel right now in your seat? Really feel that connection.
That's the hardest thing to do ever.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just
Yes.
the hardest thing to do ever. Because,
Well, nobody takes the time.
well, it's just the discipline
Yes,
Yes.
that
of
too.
being quiet
Yes.
is unreal.
Yes.
To detach from everything that's spinning around, the
Right.
to-do list, and to actually take the time to pause and say, okay, I feel the temperature of the room. I feel like my jaw's a little clenched. I feel like my belly is rumbling a little bit. Oh, I might be hungry or I might be tense. Oh, my sciatica is, acting up. My arthritis in my foot. All those things that you just kind of deal with. You pause and you think
And acknowledge.
and acknowledge, and you send the breath there. And the breath.
What's that mean?
That means you inhale, and in your mind, we have our third eye right here, our intuitive center,
On the forehead.
and the forehead, right here in the middle of the forehead. And you usually your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
And you imagine in your mind that you're sending all this energy to that spot. Whatever
You like
it
the
is.
word frequency, body's frequency. Maybe you send that
Energy.
that energy, right?
Yes. Yes.
In a-
Because you have an energy. That's your prana. That's a very popular word in yoga. That is what is keeping you alive. And if you rub your hands, together like this and release it, you feel all of the tingling. Just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it like this. And you'll feel all that energy in your fingertips and in your hands. That's your electrical system in your body. That's your energy. And that's what keeps you going. So the breath works in that you inhale and you fill your body with nourishment because the breath keeps you alive.
Yeah, right. You got to have that.
And you need it. There's a transition in your lungs. You don't need it. It takes what it needs, and then you release what you don't need. Right? That's the system. The beauty of our body is you inhale nourishment, you exhale whatever no longer the body needs, and so you take that into a energetic form. Is you inhale the nourishment, which is the breath, and then you release whatever is bothering you.
Okay.
Maybe you had an argument. Maybe you're tense about something at work. Something's not going your way. Maybe your child is having trouble in school or you're having financial difficulties. Whatever it is, you're going to inhale and bring nourishment to yourself. And then when you exhale, you just let it go.
So
And it takes more than one, and it takes practice.
And the problem doesn't go away.
No, but
it helps your
your
parasympathetic
yes,
body
relax.
relax
Yep.
and that argument, that child issue that isn't going to keep you into that fight or flight all the time, so that your cortisol levels are, you're not just like hanging on by a thread,
Yes.
dealing with it, that you get to think about it, release it, move it through, so that you don't constantly
Right.
be thinking about it.
Exactly. Or also, have you heard the term take 3 breaths?
Yes.
Calm yourself, take 3 deep breaths.
Yes. So
It really works.
it does really work.
It is
because
about that.
It is about that.
Yeah.
When we would take Brisket to when we were working with Canine Inspired Change, it was 3 deep dog breaths every time before we went in to do any kind. So she called it 3 deep dog breaths, but it's 3.
Biscuit called it that?
Brisket.
Oh,
No,
Brisket.
the teacher.
yes.
The teacher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time we went into a situation with these kids or this type of
Yes.
work we were going to do,
Yes.
we all as the
You
owner of
pause.
the dog,
Yes.
right? We all had to do the three deep dog breaths. That's just what she called it. But it was 3, and
was
it
3.
really worked. And I'm
Yes.
telling you, 2 doesn't do it.
No.
You got to do 3.
The thing is that when you do that, you're concentrating on your breath and the way that you're breathing, okay? And it takes you away from the situation at hand.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
we're going to take our 3 breaths now at the break and regain our zen.
good.
Regain our zen,
There you
and
go.
we'll be right back.
Wow, you're using
Very
some-
good.
Welcome back to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes. OurHealthyHomes.com is the website to go to. We're here in the studio with Liz Heffernan, and we are talking about
job.
yoga. And what we learned the last segment is some people are more open to breathe and calming. And is that just a way to ignore your problems? I mean, your problems don't go away. So I mean, it's like, oh, I'm going to take these deep breaths, and then everything is going to be great. Well, the problems remain. So as soon as you stop breathing,
You don't want to stop breathing.
I know. But my point is, you go back out, into the real world, and in 10 minutes, it's all back.
Then you take another 3 breaths.
Okay.
It's about being able to calm yourself. That central nervous system. We have all those systems in our body. They're all connected, and they all don't function if you're not breathing. There's a lot of shallow breathing.
We are
breath is-
shallow breathers.
It's the first responder in a crisis. You start to go,
Yeah, right.
and then the heart starts to accelerate. So once you are acknowledging in your own body that that's happening, you can pause and take those 3 breaths. And there's different methods of breathing as well. And you take deep belly breaths.
It's harder than you think.
But if you do it,
Yeah,
if
right.
you even think about doing it,
Right.
it's taking you away from the pressure and the crisis at hand. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I went to do some meditation in-service training at the emergency response team over in Rosemont.
Okay.
And I went to their brand new facility, which is gorgeous. This was a few years ago, pre-COVID. So
Okay.
that's how I go
Yeah,
in
right,
my life,
right. I know,
But
it's-
it was so interesting because they took me into the actual area where the responders are, and it's this huge area, and each person is sitting at a desk with monitors, 3 or 4 monitors like this.
Yeah.
Huge.
And they're actually tethered
Wow.
to the monitor. I'm not sure why. But then they have ergonomically correct
Sure.
chairs and everything. So it was just an education.
Yeah.
And then we went in, and they went in shifts because they rotate in their shifts. And we did some meditation, we did some breathing. I talked about everything that we're talking about today, a little more in depth, and left and came back the next week. And it was a different group of people. And I started to talk about the breath, and I started to talk about the calming effects and the method that we were going to use. And one of the responders raised her hand, and she goes, I know that this works because I can't remember the name. Let's say Bob last week was driving home and has high blood pressure and could feel it. I mean, this is a high stress job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Stopped at a neighborhood drugstore that has the free BP checks.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And saw that it was really climbing, and he had been to the
your
training. He paused, and he took 3 deep breaths. And he did it more than once, but he did it enough so that he was able to calm himself down and get back in his car and get home. And he came back to work and shared the story.
Cool.
I know. It was really so affirming that someone actually, first of all, was listening.
Yeah. There is that.
And did it, right? So it is something. Is it easy to do? Like Sheila just mentioned, it is something that you need to concentrate on and work on. But the whole point is to take yourself away from this crisis, whatever it is. It's not going to fix it, but it's going to help fix you for the moment so that you can have a reasonable response.
And deal with it.
Yes.
in a calmer body mind state.
Open the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Be reasonable. Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. It gives you that opportunity to center yourself so that your energy is calm. And, my energy, we're all here sharing our energy,
Mm-hmm.
whether we want to or not.
Right.
We are. That's how it is. So.
Right.
It's not going to fix it. And you might have to do it many times a day, depending on your job. Like, as people, you work with people,
Mm-hmm.
you
their
know
finances, their life, their moves. It's one of the most stressful
It
jobs.
is.
It's in the top 5, or real estate's in the top 5, or whatever it is.
and you come to a client and
Mhm.
they're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can't do this. And what's your role? Your role is to calm them down,
Mm-hmm.
to let's look at what is the problem, right?
Mhm.
But if you were there and going, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yes, that's not helping anybody.
Do you find that then, if you look at the different personality types, for me, I'm like the guy you want in the room when the room's on fire because I just don't get flapped very much.
Yep.
And then other people get whipped up over anything.
Exactly.
So do you find that some people are just more receptive to this kind of training or technique
Practice.
than others, and then the ones that get whipped up over the slightest thing, and the kind, everything's a crisis, everything's an emergency, it's always, everything is number one on the list of
Yes.
hates.
Yes.
Can they learn to not be that way?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and how is that done?
Very carefully, and it takes a long time. And the very first thing is to say, I want to.
Sure.
Right.
With
you
anything.
can't do anything
Yeah.
unless you want to.
Right. With anything.
It's not going to be something that happens overnight. This is a process. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. You can't go to one yoga class, one real estate class, and say, hey, yeah, I know how to do this. It is, okay, you might have absorbed a lot of information, but how many times have you been to a training and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need to go back and learn more? That's generally the person who is receptive to movement and yoga or meditation.
Okay, so in listening to this, right, and thinking where we are at as a society, man, don't you think we should bring these techniques into schools?
They are in schools.
Okay, all right. So, because these kids, they're on fight or flight 24/7 with their.
Yeah.
They don't go out and play in the dirt anymore. They don't get the
Yeah.
grounding. They don't get the natural. They don't. They're on their phones. They're on their computers. They're playing the video games.
Yep.
They're just high strung all the time.
Yeah.
And they're young. Like they're not that hard, man. I don't know what's gonna happen to their heart.
You're absolutely right. But it is in the schools. Now, going back to your question earlier when we first began, there are a lot of people who have fear over the term yoga, thinking that it's going to bring bad things to them or their children. It is something that happens. Excuse me. The movement, the poses, all of that doesn't have to be yoga, but it is a process, it is a method, it is a way to calm yourself down.
I'm going to tell you that when we worked with the trainer and when, I'd go to yoga, okay, and I'm losing the thought of whatever stretch that was. It was a stretch. Like the personal trainer did the stretch with me, and now I'm in yoga and I'm doing the same stretch. It might be called something else.
Exactly.
Right? But to me, I think of it as a way to stretch my body.
And your mind.
And my mind, yes, and my mind, right? Because we need that, and it takes time, like you said. It takes time to like really figure this out. It's like your morning meditation. I mean, how long did it take you before you got into your routine of reading the Bible and your mission statement and like all those things, that you spend time doing, right? Right? Now you add in some breathing into that, and who knows, right? I mean, I'm not up with you when you do it, so I don't know what kind of breathing you're doing.
Sheila didn't realize till just it was like, was it 6 months ago?
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
That she realized that
okay.
6 o'clock came twice a day.
Okay. Yes. So the point of it is that we as a society have lost that calming time. So it's hard for us to take a break, calm down, think of nothing. And when you're in it, it feels good and you're doing it, right? So Liz and I did a restorative class at the house, right? It was the aroma yoga. And my first time like being the assistant, right? And so I'm not doing it, but I'm in the room, right? And I'm thinking we're not doing anything. Right? We're just laying there. They're just laying there, right? And they moved this way, and then 10 minutes, then move this way. But the point of the restorative is, which I want to talk about because I think it's really, really important, the restorative. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
We will talk about when we come back. And I want to also talk about the aroma and the yoga connection. Between the two, because that is an interesting topic, and we'll talk about that when we come back from a break. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. Zenning out today. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. We're talking about the pampered wife. No, I'm sorry. We're talking about yoga.
Right. We'll get Peggy on the show for being pampered.
That's the pampered life.
Oh, pampered life.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
I want to talk about the aroma yoga connection, because it seems like there's always something going on in terms of aroma in the room. Is that just to cover up the smell of sweat or what body odor, or what is the reason for that?
Well, Sheila could really talk more about the essential oils, but there is definitely a pairing of oils that you can use that actually have a benefit to the body. For example, the most popular one is peppermint. Peppermint, we even used it in the schools. It sparks your brain. It wakes you up. It is actually a calming
it can be
oil, and it can help prevent headaches or even be something that you use to address a headache. There was a time when I was dealing with migraines, and in order to help myself get through a day, I'd put a drop of peppermint here on my third eye, and then right up at my nose, and then I'd put some on my wrist so that I could smell it.
Okay.
And that in and of itself would just help set my day. And eventually the migraines, I addressed it other ways, things I was eating, things I wasn't doing, like drinking lots of water, those kinds of things also came into it. But what we know is that our bodies, our skin is very absorbent. And so when you have essential oils, this is another ancient tradition.
Okay.
There's nothing woo-woo about essential oils. That's been around since time began, and it's used in many different disciplines, and it's all natural. I mean, it's organic, right?
And those plants, trees, bushes, whatever you want to, right?
Yep.
All of that is what created the healing and the health back then, and then
Yep.
they kind of took it and like
And
synthetically and chemically changed it and added. So there is those like oregano, for example, or clove, right? Clove is what ancient times to
Right.
dentistry and things like that, right?
Yep.
So there's still clove used in
Yeah.
today's world. It's just it's a chemically synthetic made.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It depends, right. So in yoga, when you have the breathing, there's like you've heard of Vicks Vapor Rub, which is lots like eucalyptus.
Right.
You've heard of ice, which is something for sore muscles, which is another mentholatum type thing.
Right.
All of those things, when you inhale or when you place it on your body, the body absorbs it, or you inhale it, and it's magic. I mean,
it is, yeah.
it's an amazing thing. Many people don't understand it until they use it, experience it. So like in the restorative yoga that we did, using specific oils, that this was developed by someone who was a yoga teacher and who studied the essential oils. So we're following a pattern that's already been set and has been successful. You start with, anointing your body in different areas in order to address whatever the issue is. So calming,
Stress away, for example, was
Yep.
one of the oils in the class that we did, right? So let's take you out of the stress and calm you down first, so that this is going to be a better practice for you, because it just facilitates you getting there quicker.
You'd be surprised, but in a restorative practice, yoga, this is one of the most difficult practices because you do nothing
Right.
but rest. Restorative rest.
Right.
And people get a little anxiety about not
Doing something.
doing something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I need to raise my leg to my ear. I need to bend forward and touch the floor, Which, yes, that's all good too. But this yoga style, restorative, is about bringing yourself to rest. You're supported by the earth. You're laying down. And there's someone who's tending to you, the yoga people in the room. And the oils help that. So, it's behind the ears, it's at your third eye, it's in your lower back, it's in your, inside your elbows, it's in your feet. And so that the essences address that anxiety of, okay, what's going to happen if I've never done it before? What's going to happen the second, we're just going to be here? It's a little bit of addressing that anxiety when you inhale these essential oils. So the connection is strong. When I have used essential oils in a class, it's usually after a class. If it's been a super energetic class, which there are some, you might need to spark with some peppermint, or maybe you prefer, maybe you don't like peppermint. Lemon. Lemon's another big one. Eucalyptus, frankincense. And you do a little education. I'm going to offer this to you, Keith. I'm going to offer this to you, Sheila, if you'd like it. Just take a drop. You don't need more than a drop. And, place it on your wrist or right here or back here. And go on. You can always say no. But there is that whole piece, the infusion in your home, your healthy home. Why do you do that? It's the same reason, because it enhances, it brings a sense of calming, it's welcoming, you're treating yourself well, you're pampering yourself, the pampered life. Right. And when you have an essential oil on your skin, you can feel it. You can feel it working. And in your mind's eye, you can start to relax and you can start to breathe. And maybe taking 60 minutes of my life once a week to just be and not do because I'm doing the rest of the week
Right.
every day, every minute. And that doesn't even mean your work. It could be that you're running. It could be that you're biking. It could be that you're going to yoga sculpt or yoga bar. A
Yeah.
little more intense stuff. This is about allowing your body to rest and calm, and the essential oils bring that.
So
We've got one come up June 7th, I think.
Yes.
Right? June 7th.
Let's talk about the okay, so you have restorative, the different kinds of yoga.
Yep.
Restorative yoga, hot yoga, bar yoga. What are all these different styles of yoga or modalities of yoga, and how do they integrate with one another, and can they be used in conjunction with one another, or is it like, I'm a hot yoga person, so I'm not doing any of that restorative stuff, or I'm a bar yoga person, not going to that hot yoga? They're evil over there in hot yoga.
It's hot.
If you don't like to be hot, stay away from hot yoga.
Yeah, right. It's
And
hot.
hot yoga is actually designed. It was designed by a yogi named Joe Bikram, and he designed a class. Usually, it's 90 minutes. It's at 105 degrees, and it's 26 poses. The same sequence every class. It is very challenging. It's very detoxing. It's like going to a sauna.
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
whether it's a steam sauna or infrared sauna, it's about going in and detoxing.
Okay.
And we should be sweating, right?
Yes.
That's the other key
Yes.
piece, is that the body needs to sweat.
Yes.
So if we are on our computers and we're working every day and we're not really, whatever it is, we need to take some time to do that, because the
Exactly.
body needs to sweat.
Yes. So, and it can sweat in different ways.
Sure. Yep.
You can sweat in restorative if the room is really hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So to
You can
answer-
sweat because you're so uptight that you got that you got to rest for
Right.
an hour.
Those are called cold sweats.
Yeah. Okay.
right. Right.
Right.
So to answer your question is, you're going to find a yoga class that works for you.
All right.
And it might be that you want to combine the building muscle, which would be yoga sculpt, or you might want to just have a little more gentle version of a yoga class. Which
So
would
if you've
be-
got injuries or things like that, and
Yes.
you need to move, right? Because we got to keep our body moving.
Yes.
Gentle, I'm guessing, would
Gentle.
be the first place for somebody to
Yes.
start.
Yes.
Would be
and if you've never had a yoga class,
right.
good
Yes.
place to start. And then you can build up. Oh, I might try that hot yoga because probably you and I work. I need to try it in order to have an informed decision.
Right.
Yes,
Right. So
right.
I don't. I always encourage people to try it. Start with a gentle class. Get used to the vocabulary. It's get used to the routine, the ritual, and the routine. You have to have a yoga mat because you don't want to be on the floor.
Right.
A blanket is helpful because it softens the floor, right? Your knees. Sometimes you're on your hands and knees. Sometimes you're sitting. And then when you're standing. All those things, it take time. I mean, you can't just jump into, well, I guess some people do throw their kids in the water to learn how to swim,
Right.
So
Right.
that does happen, but that, we want to be a little more informed about what you're doing to yourself and to how this movement is going to work with your body. You might have a pacemaker. You might have a prosthetic. You might have vision difficulties. You might have hearing difficulties. You'll find the modality that's best for you. So it's not like you have to do it this way.
Well, and
Right.
and I'm not that flexible, and so there is no there is a right or wrong, but there isn't a right or wrong. Like, I mean, if I'm in the class and I can't do that, I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
You got to push yourself, honey. You got to push it. You have to
Guys
win.
actually
You have
come to
succeed.
class,
All right. This is Our Healthy Homes. Our Healthy Homes. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back next week.
But when he calls me sugar, I love that man with all my might. Sugar in the morning, sugar in the afternoon. Sugar after dinner, sugar in every room. When he calls me that name, it does things to me. I tell him, honey, you can call me sugar anytime.